Yo, what's going on? Joe the Butler. I appreciate the message that you sent me. I appreciate you being open about your situation, and I'm sure we're going to have plenty of conversations in the future, because I don't know, there's a lot of questions that I would like to ask you, because I think your story is incredible, and I think more people need to understand what's going on. But I want to address your comment and your request in terms of explaining the importance to black men and black women in terms of our past that predates slavery. Because you made the statement that it's funny because you try to explain to people what we were doing before, but they look at you in terms of how does that help me now? And you can look at it that way, but I choose to look at it in a different way. I look at the melting pot of Southern California, alright? And I see all the other groups carry themselves with a certain pride. Where does this pride come from? You sit there like, where does it come from? Like, you know, where is it coming from? Like, why does everybody, you know, feel like they're just as good as everybody else? But with African Americans, we have to almost lie and convince ourselves. And when we break down our actions, it's clear that we don't feel like we're on par with everybody else. Where does this come from? Why is it that you have an election period that just passed where you have average Joe small white people asking if Obama's qualified enough, as if Obama's level of success is equal to that of an average white man? Like, why do you see all this? Why do you see people so fearful of their children, you know, being around young black boys and young black women? Like, why is it that everybody has this overt or almost hidden level of confidence where I don't feel like anybody's better than me? I'm not saying I'm better than everybody else, but you're damn sure not better than me. Where does this come from? And I really had to sit down and come up with my own theory. And I think it stems from the whole idea that they know on a global historic level that where they come from has an impact on the world. Right? I come from a civilization that has been around for thousands of years. So I've contributed. Right? I'm not a newbie. My people has been here. Yeah, I may have had an issue with your group of people. We may have had our wars and our battles. But we've been here. I've been around the block. I come from a long line of ancestors. You can look up my history. You can go to our museums. But when you look at African Americans, we don't have that same level of pride. Even then, that's why there's such a difference between Africans and African Americans. Because a lot of it, and this problem is complex, don't get me wrong, I don't want to, you know, belittle it, but part of the reasons that a lot of Africans tell me is that they feel like a lot of African Americans hold their head down, and they don't feel like they're on par with everybody else, so their actions show that they're not on par. You know, that's a common response that you will get from an African if you ask them that question. Alright, but when you look at African American culture, to which I'm a part of, we don't feel like we can compete on a global level. Like, we don't feel like we can put our history out there and, you know, go up with the might that was the Roman Empire or all these other great empires that happened through our time. We don't feel like we can compete on that level. So we are looked down upon. And my problem with that is people don't know that we were the first to do so. Not even on some I'm trying to hype up black people, just from a geographic, scientific level. Who else would do anything first other than blacks if we were the first civilizations coming out of Africa? Who else? Just look at the geography of Africa and the climate versus what's happening in other regions of the world. We are the cradle of civilization for a reason. Only certain things could have happened in Africa due to, an absurd amount of reasoning. But we don't know this. We don't know how to compete. And I'm all about African American culture in terms of slavery, but it doesn't compete. You can't use Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and then go talk to somebody about the Roman Empire and the greatness of the Roman Empire. You're talking about a civilization versus a handful of men. It doesn't work. It doesn't compete. You can't bring that to the same party. But what blacks don't know is you have your history that, quite frankly, trumps everybody else's. Even the Egyptian culture is like, the biggest heist the world has ever seen. How people are so quick to forget what Egypt was. I mean, I've even heard stories that, it's even, aliens were the ones that influenced the Egyptians and all that other shit. Like, as somehow, some way to discredit that it was people who had black skin doing all that, building the pyramids, doing all these quote-unquote advanced practices that the rest of the world learned from. People want to take that away from us, and that just scratches the iceberg. But it's not there. So it's needed. It's needed. I mean, the only hard part is the fact that we can't get anything formalized to put it out there, so people can get a feeling of what's going on, so African Americans can feel like, you can walk around with your head at the same level as everybody else's because you know where you come from. On a historic, global level, you know what your people did. And quite frankly, your head will probably be higher than everybody else's because you will quickly understand that you were the first to do a lot of things. This is not even on some, hey, let me, hype up black people. This is fact. You were the first to do certain things. Just look at the evidence. To me, you don't have to listen to any scholar. You can study stuff for yourself. A lot of stuff is clear. Don't let me even get started on going back and looking at early civilizations. Just look at the features of these people and tell me that they're not black. Just look at it. You don't need anybody to tell you what to think. You can do this on your own. You can study this stuff on your own and make sense out of a whole lot of shit. And you'll quickly understand that, wow, okay, how come we're not recognized? And it's clear, and one of the things that is obvious is our interactions with the Europeans and how a lot of stuff was, quite frankly, stolen. It's obvious, it's there. But, people just have to dig deep. But once they understand what it does, I think, things will change. It's not about, all of a sudden, we're going to have money and we're going to be on the same level as everybody else. But if you feel like you belong, that's all you need. All you need is the feeling of being on par with everybody else, and that will reflect and that will transcend and uplift you. So I don't want to go over my 10 minutes. Share with me how you feel and all that other good stuff. Take it easy. God bless.